Good afternoon. Welcome you all for the 22nd webinar organized by the Sri Lanka Export Development Board. Today, we are going to discuss with you a very important area in international business. Capitalizing banking services and facilities to support your export business. Today, presenter will discuss with you financial facilities available for exporters to manage their pre-shipment and post-shipment export financing requirements, barriers in international trade, and how to utilize non-financial banking services for secure export business and other important areas. Before let me remind you of the order of the presentation today. The presenter will speak for about 45 to 50 minutes, and we will have thereafter we will have question and answer session for 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll end up the program from there. So let me introduce today's resource person, Mr. K.K. Susantha, working as the Chief Manager in New Trade Finance Software Solutions Implementation Project at Bank of Ceylon, covering Sri Lanka, Maldives, Seychelles, and Chennai. He has been serving Bank of Ceylon for over 14 years with experience in retail, credit, risk management, and trade finance. He has served in trade finance area with exposure in both export and import segments. He is a graduate of public administration from the University of Sri Jayawardenepura, and he holds a MBA in finance from University of Colombo. He is also an associate of Institute of Bankers and also certified documentary credit specialist, International Chamber of Commerce. With that introduction, now I like to invite Mr. Susantha for his presentation.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Parika. Good morning, all participants. Good afternoon, all participants. So I think it's a very difficult time, not only with the time of the day, but the environment which we are today with Corona. I think it's a very difficult situation we are with, but still highly appreciate and warmly welcome all the participants who are joined here. So as Sepalika just introduced, today what I will be discussing with you is now, as you now with my experience, what I have seen is that there are exporters, especially the SME exporters, the newcomers to the export market. They are a bit lack of understanding, awareness of the facilities and the services that are offered to them from the banks. So especially with the exporters, this I have seen. My main focus here today is that to give some awareness to all the exporters join here. What are the facilities and services, non-financial services that banks are offering for the exporters. So just let me share my screen with you. Okay. Hope you can view my screen now. Can anyone, any participants just confirm me whether you are able to see this screen?
Yes, we can see this.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, now as I was requested, basically this will be not in one language session. I will be using both languages, English and Sinhala. So any questions which at the time of questions time, you can ask in any language, there is no issue. So that I'll be also taking you through this 1 hour time with both languages. Now, start with now. There are so many facilities and non-financial services and financial facilities that banks are offering for the exporters, where they can actually support the business, improve the business, and go ahead. Now, before moving into my main area, I just want to share with you some basic understanding of how trade, and especially how banks are involved in trade. Now, first, let me explain you. Now, the trade, whatever or wherever it happens, okay, any trade, whether it is domestic or international, any trade for any good, any whatever trade, there are simply 4 stages, 4 activities basically that happens. Basically, between the buyer and seller, initially there is a contract. That may be a written contract, or maybe with agreement or email, whatever way, written agreement, and also maybe a word agreement just by verbally, maybe by a phone call you may give orders, request or shipments, so that this is happening with the buyer and seller contract. The second step will be the exchange of the goods. So seller will send the goods to the buyer, and after that buyer seller also with the goods delivery, he will also send some documents that are related to the goods delivered, to prove the buyer that I have delivered these goods, and the quantity, the price, and those details, maybe with some specification details. The documents are sent from buyer to seller. Buyer, after receiving the documents, the next step will be the payment. So buyer will, after reviewing the documents and inspecting the goods, buyer will make the payment. Now here, as I said, simply ඕනම වෙළඳාමක මෙන්න මේ කාරණා 4 තමයි සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. එතනදී contract එකක් ඇති වෙනවා දෙන්න අතර, ඊට පස්සේ භාණ්ඩ හුමාරු සිද්ධ වෙනවා, ඊට පස්සේ ලියවිලි හුමාරු සිද්ධ වෙනවා, ඊට පස්සේ ගෙවීම සිද්ධ වෙනවා. Now there is a very important thing I want to highlight to you, that banks do not involve in all these 4 activities. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් බැංකු ගත්තාම බැංකු මේ කාරණා 4ටම සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක අපි විශේෂයෙන් අඳුර ගන්න ඕනේ. මොකද බැංකුවත් එක්ක ගනුදෙනු කරනකොට මෙන්න මේ මම මේ දැන් සාකච්ඡා කරන්න යන මේ කාරණාව ඉතාමත් වැදගත්. මොකද සමහරලාට අපි දැකලා තියෙනවා ගනුදෙනුකරුවෝ මෙන්න මේ මම දැන් කතා කරන මේ කරුණ වැරදියට වටහාගෙන ඒ ගැන කියන්නේ තියෙන තොරතුරු ප්‍රමාණය මැද නිසා සමහර ගනුදෙනුවලදී ගනුදෙනු ඉදිරිපත් කරන විදිය, තර්ක කරන විදිය නොගැලපීම් ඇති වෙනවා. ඉතින් මෙතනදී මට පැහැදිලිව කියන්න ඕන එක කාරණාවක් තියෙනවා. මෙතන if you look at these 4 activities, the first 2 activities, contract and the goods, exchange of goods, there is nothing bank will involve. Bank does not involve completely. Bank does not involve in either of these 2 activities. Totally between the seller and the buyer. But the next 2 steps, right, the documents and the payment, in both these steps banks do involve. But actually, in case of payment step, whatever the way you make the payment, okay, you will have to involve the bank. මොන විදිහට payment එක කරත් අපිට බැංකුවක් සම්බන්ධ කරගන්න වෙනවා. නමුත් documents, when you are handling the documents between seller and buyer, there are cases, there are methods where banks will involve. There are situations where bank will not involve. Therefore, based on these 2 activities, the way you handle the documents, the way you make the payment, there has been 4 different methods that you can apply in dealing with international trade. So if you are carrying out an international trade business, right, this is applicable even to a local trade. There's no issue. In trade, there are typically, based on the documents you way you handle the documents, based on the way you make the payment, there are 4 methods that has been developed in trade where you can do the transaction. So ඔබ ගනුදෙනු කරනකොට ගනුදෙනු කරගැනීම සඳහා මේ ලියකියවිලි ඔබලා බයර් සහ සෙලර් අතර ලියකියවිලි හුවමාරු වෙන විදිය, ඒ වගේම පියවීම සිදු වෙන ආකාරය අනුව දැනට ගොඩනැගිච්ච ක්‍රමවේද 4ක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි advance payment, එකක් තමයි open account, අනිත් එක letter of credit සහ collection. මෙතනදී I have displayed here. Now if you take advance payment is that you are the importer, the buyer making the payment in advance to the seller. In advance of what? In advance of the shipment. Before making the shipment by the seller, buyer pay importer. The buyer pay to the seller. So that seller has money in advance in his hand. So that we call it advance payment. This is one method where you can do international transactions, exports. So in that advance payment method, banks are involved only in the payment. When you want to make the payment, you will have to go to with the relevant documents to the bank and produce those documents to make the payment to your supplier. So that in this case, as you are exporter, in advance payment, you will be getting the funds in advance, so that your importer will have to go to his bank and produce some documents to make the payment. But here, the original documents, right? Original documents does not come through bank. Bank does not involve in handling original documents. Once the payment is done, exporter will arrange the goods and he ship the goods and he will prepare the documents and he will deliver the documents directly, maybe through a courier service, directly to the importer, the buyer. So එතනදී advance payment එකේදී මුලින්ම importer exporter payment එක කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ payment එක ලැබුණාට පස්සේ exporter භාණ්ඩ සූදානම් කරලා භාණ්ඩ නැවගත කරලා අදාළ ලියකියවිලි ටික විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි ලියකියවිලි කියලා මෙතන අදහස් කරන්නේ invoice එක, BL එක, bill of lading එක, සමහරට certificate origin එක, maybe සමහරලාවට සමහර certificates ඕන කරනවා, සමහරට වල බඩු clear කරගන්න. ඒ අදාළ documents ටික හදලා exporter එයා ඒක importer directly යවනවා. කිසිම බැංකුවක් සම්බන්ධයක් නැහැ. documents ටික courier service එකකින් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. directly බයයට යවනවා. එතකොට මෙතනදී කිසිම වෙලාවක බැංකුව ඔරිජිනල් ඩොකියුමන්ට්ස් ටික සම්බන්ධ උනේ නැහැ ඒවා ගණන්දුණු කරන්න. එතකොට ඊගාව එක ඕපන් account. ඕපන් account කියලා කියන්නේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම මම ඉතින් මුලින් කතා කරපු ඇඩ්වාන්ස් පේමන්ට් මෙතඩ් එකේ අනික් පැත්ත. එතනදී වෙන්නේ එක්ස්පෝර්ටර් කොන්ට්‍රැක්ට් එක ඇතුණාට පස්සේ භාණ්ඩ නැවගත කරනවා, සකස් කරලා නැවගත කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ භාණ්ඩ වරාය නිදහස් කරගත්තට පස්සේ buyer ඊට පස්සේ තමයි payment එක කරන්නේ. එතකොට so in open account what happens, exporter has to ship the goods and once it is cleared from the customs by the importer, he will make the payment. So in that case, you will see in advance payment, it's the out of these two methods for export. If you are an exporter, advance payment will be the best method. But if you are a exporter, open account will be the worst method for you because it involves more risk, because you are exporting goods without any confirmation of the payment, because you have to wait for payment to be received. Then at that time, the goods have already been released by the importer. So even in open account trade, bank does not involve in documents. Banks, what they do, they whenever the importer, once he cleared the goods, whenever importer wants to make the payment, he will have to produce some copy documents, proof documents to the importer's bank, whereby bank will scrutinize the documents and make the payment. But this is, there are banks under both these methods, bank does not involve in handling original documents. Even open account trade, the exporter, once the goods are shipped, he will directly send the documents to the importer, maybe through a courier service, and directly sending the documents to the importer. The next two methods is where banks involve in handling original documents. I said at the beginning, under these all methods, banks do involve in the payment, but some methods banks does not involve in original documents handling, but the letter of credit and the collection documents, banks do involve in handling original documents. The difference here is that under these both methods, LC and collection, exporter will prepare the goods and he will ship the goods, and then after that he will prepare the documents. Okay, then after preparing document, unlike in the other previous methods, he will deliver these documents not to the buyer. He will deliver these documents, submit the documents to his bank, the importer's bank. Then importer's bank will exporter will submit the documents to exporter's bank, and exporter's bank will send the documents to the importer's bank. Importer's bank will hand over documents to the importer. එතන මෙතනදී මේ මෙතඩ් එකේදී එක්ස්පෝර්ටර් බඩු ෂිප් කර බඩු නැවගත කරලා ලියකියවිලි හැදුවට පස්සේ කලින් වගේ නෙමෙයි එක්ස්පෝර්ට් ලියකියවිලි සියල්ලම බාර දෙන්න ඕනේ එක්ස්පෝර්ටර්ගේ බැංකුවට. එක්ස්පෝර්ටර්ගේ බැංකුව ඒක ඉම්පෝර්ටර්ගේ බැංකුවට යවනවා. ඉම්පෝර්ටර්ගේ බැංකුව ඒ ලැබිච්ච ලියකියවිලි ඉම්පෝර්ටර්ට බාර දෙනවා බඩු ක්ලියර් කරගන්න. එතකොට මෙතනදී මේ අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඕන ගණදෙනුවක් කරනකොට අපි සල්ලි දෙන විදි දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි අපි එවලෙම සල්ලි දෙනම අපි සාමාන්‍ය මේ ට්‍රේඩ් වලදී කියනවා සයිට් DP කියලා, right? අපිට ඩොකියුමන්ට්ස් ටික දැන් අපි කඩේකට ගිහලා බඩු ගන්නවා නම් අපිට බිල දුන්න ගමන් අපි සල්ලි ගෙවනවා සයිට් නැත්නම් DP, right? එතකොට ඒ වගේම තමයි අපි සමහර ලාවට අපි ණයට බඩු ගන්නවා. අපි අද නෙමෙයි ගෙවන්නේ පස්සේ දවසක. එතකොට මේ වෙළඳාමේ මේ ජාත්‍යන්තර වෙළඳාමෙත් ඒ දෙක ඒ විදිහටම පාවිච්චි කරනවා. නමුත් අපි ඒවට විශේෂ වචන පාවිච්චි කරනවා. දැන් අපි LC එක නම් අපි LC එකකින් ડોකියුමන්ට්ස් ආපු වෙලාවක මේ අපි කියනවා නම් ඒක එවලම සල්ලි ගෙවනවා කියලා අපි ඒකට කියන්නේ සයිට් LC එකක් කියලා. LC එකකින් අපි ගනුදෙනු කරන වෙලාවට අපි ඒකට සල්ලි ගෙවන්නේ පස්සේ වෙලාවක නම් අපි හිතමු ඉම්පෝර්ට් දීලා තියෙනවා ක්‍රෙඩිට් පීරියඩ් එකක්. අපි හිතමු දවස් 90ක 60ක ක්‍රෙඩිට් පීරියඩ් දාලා තියෙනවා. එහෙම අපිට එන ડોකියුමන්ට්ස් නම් අපි ඒකට කියනවා ටර්ම් LC එකක් කියලා. එතකොට collection අපි සාමාන්‍ය භාවිතා කරනවා මේ DPDA කියලා. If it is a DP document, that means we are paying when the importer is paying when he get the documents released from his bank. DA means importer gets the documents released when importer makes the payment after getting documents released, after getting goods released, and on a future date. So under both these methods, exporter will submit the documents through his bank to importer's bank. The importer's bank will hand over the documents to importer. So now when we are dealing in international trade, there are certain barriers that we always has to face. Just to take you through these barriers. Now our language and culture will be different. We are dealing with different countries. So that as an exporter, you will need to have, you'll need to use different language and different cultures. Though sometimes we thought that English will do, but there are cases, some European countries, you will find buyers, even in China, you will find buyers who does not speak English. So that you will have to use different language. It will not always be English, and their cultures are different. And also their laws, especially the export control laws, exchange control laws are there in any country. There will be export control laws and exchange control laws, and depending on that, you will have to act differently. You will have to take some measures. So the law between the two countries will be different, and there are some different custom formalities as well. The customs, how they handle the export goods, it will be different. So there are some different custom formalities, so that you will have to understand before you do the transaction. Actually, before engaging into agreement with the foreign buyer, it's better to understand all these barriers, how that operates, what are the custom formalities, especially for example, for some goods, for import clearance, some countries need certificate origins, some inspection certificates, but others do not want. Likewise, just to make sure that your goods are delivered to the importer at right time properly. You will have to understand all these requirements, because otherwise it will be get delayed to clear the goods at the importer's custom. So documentation. If you are doing a normal local trading, we just get the goods. There will be a GRN just, and we will make the payment by cash or by a check. You can make simply the payment. But here, in international trade, documentations are very complex because there are so many other parties involved, unlike a local trade. If you're local trade, it's buy and seller, between only buy and seller. But when it comes to international trade, as I explained, there are different regulations. There are different regulatory authorities, customs, import controllers, export controllers. So different and central bank regulations are there. So that there are different parties coming in, so that documentation becomes very complex. And also there are when you are dealing with some other country as an exporter, definitely you will have to deal with different currencies where you will expose to risk, exchange risk. And also the methods of transport will be very different. If you take unlike the domestic trade, where you will most of the transaction done through land, but in when it comes to export trade, international trade, you will have most of the time you will have marine methods, and also air. So there are methods of transport also very complex. And also I explained, in local trade you can simply pay by cash or by check. Very soon you can, with a bank transfer, you can settle the payment. But in international trade, settlement procedure is very complex. Banks have their own controls. As I said, the export controls, import controls, regulations are coming in when with regard to payments. So even as an exporter, when you are receiving payments, still there are some different regulations applied. So the settlement procedures are also confusing. So if you are engaging in a foreign trade transaction, if you are an exporter, then you have to have an understanding of all these barriers, how it affects to your particular business before you are engaging in those contracts, because it will save your time, save your cost, and make sure you have a good business transaction. So now I'm moving to my basically to my main areas. Now, if you are an exporter, there are so many methods banks can help you and support you. There are non-financial services that banks offer, and also financial services. Exporter කෙනෙකුට බැංකුවක් විසින් දෙන ගොඩාක් විශාල සේවාවන් වාසියක් තියෙනවා. ඒ අතර මූල්‍ය නොවන සේවාවන් තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මූල්‍යමය පහසුකම්ුත් තියෙනවා. මම අද මේ කතා කරන්න ප්‍රධාන කාරණා ටික තමයි මේ කාරණා ටික. අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම non-financial services, කොහොමද exporter කෙනෙක් විදියට how you can reduce your risks in export business. There are so many risks that I will explain in detail. What are the advisory services that banks are giving you, how you manage collateral issues, because if you are dealing with a bank, if it is for financial facilities, you will have to offer the securities, but how you can manage your securities. There are cases where you can still get the bank facilities without collaterals, that I will explain. And also banks do some other services like advising LCs to you and confirming LCs on behalf of you to mitigate the risk of the importer's country. So that those are the services. And also there are financial services. Banks for exporter, if you are an exporter, there are pre-shipment financial requirements for you. You need to buy goods before the shipment, and also after shipment also you have to wait for some time to receive the money. In that case also banks come into picture and support your business, your facilities. So that I will take you through these areas now. Now, in case of risk management in exports, there are different methods that you can manage your risk. First, we will understand the risk involved and how you can mitigate those risks. basically the biggest risk in export is the buyer risk. Whether buyer will default your shipment, payment for your shipment. Now here there are few things that you can do, right? Few of the options are that there is something called buyer's report. If you are going with a contract with a new buyer, okay, you can obtain a buyer's report from a third-party credit agency. Now this is facilitated through the banks. Normally banks have connections with these third-party credit agencies. They will call for buyer's report. So in a buyer's report එකක් ගත්තහම එතනදී ඒ බයර් ගැන 100% ඇෂුරන්ස් එකක් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් ඒ report එකක සඳහන් වෙන දේ අනුව අපිට යම්කිසි අදහසක් ගන්න පුළුවන් මේ බයර් මොන වගේ කෙනෙක්ද. මොකද එතනදී අර අපි crib report එකක තරම නැතුණාට crib report එකකට සමාන විදිහේ මේ බයර්ගේ කොහොමද ගෙවීමේ රටාව, එයාගේ තියෙන strength එක, credit worthiness එක ගැන යම්කිසි අදහසක් දෙනවා. ඒ වගේම රේටින් එකකුත් ඇතුළත්. ඒතකොට අපිට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් යම්කිසි රේටින් එකක් යම්කිසි satisfactory සතුටුදායක විදිහේ කමෙන්ට්ස් තියෙන බය කෙනෙක් නම් අපිට අපේ අවදානම අඩු කරගන්න පුළුවන්. සමහරවිට බයස්ලා ඉන්න පුළුවන්. ඒගොල්ලෝ credit agencies ඒගොල්ලෝ ගැන negative කමෙන්ට්ස් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතකොට අපිට පුළුවන් ඒ වගේ බය කෙනෙක් එක්ක ගනුදෙනු කරනකොට අපේ පැත්ත සිකුව කරගන්න අවශ්‍ය කරන අනිකුත් වැඩ කරන්න ඒ අවදානම අඩු කරගන්න. ඒ වගේම තමයි මේක ඊගාව කාරණා දෙක අපි බැංකුවක් විදිහට we don't provide these two facilities, but there are two agencies, two outside parties. There are two outside parties who provide these facilities. SLESIC cover. The SLESIC, Sri Lanka Export Corporation, Export Credit Insurance Corporation, they have facilities, they have insurance covers for you to cover buyer's risk. You can for shipment, they have a for shipment coverage where you can cover the buyer's default risk. And also there is some other arrangement. There are some private companies, I can't mention the names here. There are private companies who do this trade assurance where, let's say for example, if you are doing a transaction through open account trade, as I explained to you earlier, you will be shipping the goods by expecting the buyer to settle. But what is the trade assurance? What trade assurance does is that their importer will pay this middle company in advance, right? Whereby that company will hold the payment until because this is happening before the shipment. So before the shipment, importer will send money to the these companies who provide this trade assurance, and they will hold money until they get the feedback from importer. If the feedback is positive with regard to the goods, they will release the funds to the exporter. But here the thing is that the important thing is that you know in advance that importer has already paid for money is between yourself and the importer, so that if you are delivering the right good, quality good, you can make sure yourself that you will be getting the payment. So other risk is the exchange risk. Now here exchange risk, to manage your exchange risk, there are options in the bank, that is forward exchange contract. If you are receiving money, let's say if you are exporter, if you are going for a term LC or a DA transaction, so if let's say if you are getting if you are supposed to get the payment maybe 60 days, 90 days time, so you don't know what will be the rate on the 60th day or 90th day. In that case, you have a risk. So to cover this risk, banks offer forward exchange contracts. Normally what happens there is banks will give you a rate which you can apply on the that future day, so that you know at today on the 60th day what is my rupee income. So that is a relief for you, because you are even today you know what will be your rupee income on the 60th or that 90th day. And also there is some another arrangement where let's say normally in a trade, what exporter wants is immediate cash. What importer wants is that to delay the payment, to have a maximum possible credit period. So this method will allow you both parties to win this situation. So importer, here what happens is that this is actually applicable with the LC only, right? That I have to mention. Now let's say you have received an export LC. They are normally as exporter you want cash at side. That is how exporter sellers. Importer wants credit period. So in that case, the arrangement will happen like this. Now importer will send a term LC, let's say 60 days term LC, but LC will have a condition that exporters bank can, the LC will allow exporters bank to pay at site to the exporter, right? So that let's say it's a 60-day LC. Now exporter as exporter, when you submit the documents to the bank, with this LC, your bank will pay you the total amount on the at site, but for the time between from that day to the 60th day, the credit period, there will be an interest cost, and this interest cost you have to pay. Importer will pay to your bank, because your bank paying in advance before receiving the payment from the importer's bank. So exporter's bank, your bank has a time gap between receipt of funds and paying to you, so that for that period they will claim a interest rate. But if you think that, so you might think that there is an interest cost involved, but look at this. If you are an exporter, if you are getting money on side basis at site, definitely your price will be lesser than if you are getting the money after 60 days. If it is a term LC, if it is a term or DA agreement, your price will be definitely will be higher than your site or DP price quotation. So you are giving a price reduction with the site LC, and that price reduction will be able to for importer to manage his interest cost that I mentioned. So for the time period that importer exporters bank exporters bank will claim interest cost, and that interest cost importer will have to pay. But importer, though he is paying a interest cost, he will be getting a better price from you, because you are getting the payment at side. So you can nullify that cost with the price, so that you will. But at the end of the day, both of you are in a win-win situation. Importers getting the credit period, and also you are getting money at side. Right? Then the other thing is business foreign currency accounts. So as much as possible, the funds that you are receiving from exporters, my request is invest them in, save them in business foreign currency accounts. So if you are, sometimes there are exporters who import and do some processing and export. If you are such an exporter, this will be very good for you, because without involving any exchange losses, you can manage your import payments with the export proceeds you are already received. So if my advice is, as much as possible, please maintain business foreign currency accounts with proper deposits. So other risk is the country risk. Now, normally, any bank, the countries that you will be dealing are not the same secured countries. There are different countries. When I say different, the risk associated with those countries are different. And the banks also, the next risk, bank risk. In world, all the banks are not the same. Now, if you are to take a LC, it's a guarantee by the importer's bank. But all the importers bank, all the banks in countries, they are not with the same credit ratings. They are not with the same credit worthiness. So there will be differences. There will be risk associated with some banks, some countries. For example, there are countries that you can't deal with, like Iran, North Korea. There are US sanctions. And so likewise, there are countries that you cannot deal with. There are countries which are high risk countries. Some countries where there are war situations are usually considered as high risk countries. So okay, so if you are dealing with, my advice to you, if you are dealing with a new bank, new country, or new buyer, always please give those details to your bank. they will do some screening for you, and they will let you know in advance whether the bank is able to deal with these countries, these banks, these buyers. There is some screening solutions with banks where they can find these, for example, sanction concerns. So that what happens is that I have seen some exporters, they get into contract, they sometimes exchange the goods as well. Thereafter, they come into bank for payment, where bank finds there are some sanction issues with those maybe countries, maybe the buyers, maybe the that bank, so that we are unable to make the payment. But so that if you can make sure that you give the details to your banks in advance before you getting into contract even, so that you can avoid those situations. Otherwise, sometimes there are situations you get into contract and we receive a LC from the other bank, and at that time we come into picture and say, sorry, we can't handle this bank, handle this country, handle this buyer. There are some concerns, compliance, due diligence concerns. At that time, you have gone through so much with this buyer. You have done credit agreements. So all your efforts are in vain, because at the end of the day, as I said, in all payment methods, you have to involve with the bank. So if the bank rejects payment, you can't complete your transaction. So if it is an accident or damage to your goods, the only way that you can avoid that risk is insurance. So you have to go for insurance to mitigate your accidents, damage to your goods during transport. So that's how you can reduce your risk in export business. Then there are some advisory services that banks offers to their customers. First, to actually I explain country risk, to manage your country risk and bank risk, and the buyer's risk also. Please give your details in advance to your bank and get some clearance from them whether banks are able to handle these banks, countries, and buyers. So that advisory services is given by banks. Sometimes there are buyers who are not who does not have good track records, but as a policy, bank will not reveal that information. But anyway, there will be a communication for you to be take more precautions. If the bank finds you are going to deal with that kind of customer, there will be a clear information to you, but still banks will give some advices where you have to which you have to take to deal with those customers. And also, now if you are doing banks also have advice you in your working capital management. Now if you are building a factory with a BOQ, you know what is your cost. You can easily find out cost, so that you can apply for the bank for the loan. But when you are doing export business, you are doing the business frequently. You are doing the business with different payment methods. As I said, site method, term methods, and there are so many other payment methods as I explained to you. So your working capital, the cash cycle is very complex, so that need some special knowledge and understanding to find out what is actually your working capital. In that case, bank will support you for you to understand what is your working capital requirement, how much you need for bill discounting, how much you need for packing credit, pre-shipment. Likewise, they will support you to identify your working capital requirements. And also documentation training. Now, if you are dealing with LCs as an exporter, you need to make sure that your documents are perfect, because in a LC, you might know, though it is a LC, it is not a payment guarantee. Please keep that in mind. If just because you received the export LC, that does not mean you are 100% guaranteed of the payment, because LC එකකදී payment එක guarantee වෙන්නේ නැහැ export එකට. එකම දේ තියෙන්නේ එතන condition එකක් තියෙනවා. There's a serious condition. You have to produce the documents required in the LC 100% correctly. LC එකේ ඉල්ලලා තියෙන documents ටික 100% LC එකේ තියෙන විදිහටම දුන්නොත් විතරයි 100% විදිහටම තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ දුන්නොත් විතරයි LC එකකද LC issue කරපු බැංකුව ගෙවනවා කියලා දීපු පොරොන්දුව ඔයාලට ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා under the LC, the importers banks gives a guarantee that they will make the payment, but it is subject to you producing the perfect documents. So you need to have a knowledge on how to prepare documents for LC. In that case, banks do train your staff, the documentation staff. They can get training from banks how to have an understanding how to prepare export documents, in case of, especially in case of LCs. And also banks will support you to standardize LCs. Now, when I say standardize, some LCs, export LCs are coming where there are conditions and documents that you can't produce, that you can't meet. Sometimes there are conditions which are not favorable to you. For example, let's say if a LC say once the goods are let's say for example for the payment you need to have acceptance from the importer about the condition of the goods. So that such kind of a certificate you can only get once the importer release the goods only. So එහෙම වෙලාවක දැන් සමහර අපිට LC ලැබෙනවා. LC වල එක්ස්පෝර්ටර්ට හානිදායක අවාසිදායක සහ එක්ස්පෝර්ටර්ට කරන්න බැරි කොන්දේසි ඇතුළත් වෙනවා. එතකොට අපි ඕන හැම වෙලාවකදීම එක් සමන්ට එක්ස්පෝර්ට් LC එකක් ලැබුණා නම් ඒ එක්ස්පෝර්ට් LC එක බැංකුවට පෙන්නලා ඒ ගැන බැංකුවෙන් ඇඩ්වයිස් එකක් ගන්න මේකේ මට හානිදායක තොරතුරු දිනනවා. Is there any conditions that are not favorable to me, so that you can amend those conditions in advance. There's always possibility for you to amend LCs before the shipment. After the shipment, if you try to do amendments, it will be very difficult. So මොනාරි LCs වල ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් අවාසි දේවල් තියෙනවා නම් බැංකුවකට උදව් කරයි ඒවා තමන්ට සුදුසු පරිදි සකස් කර ගැනීමට. ඒතර අනිත් තව එකක් තමයි බැංකුව banks do export LC document checking. If you are doing transaction with the export under export, now you need to prepare LC documents, export LC documents. Now there, as I said, you need to make it perfect, but you don't want to worry about this. Banks can help you in there. What you need to do is that whenever you prepare export documents, give those documents to your bank and ask them to check it properly, thoroughly. So they will check the documents and let you know the what we call discrepancies, the disorders, the things that are not in order with the LC, so that you can get the documents back and correct those documents. And as likewise, you can prepare perfect documents for the LC, so that banks will help you. Banks, it's a responsibility actually of the bank. If you request, they have to check and they have to also confirm you the documents are perfect. If the documents are perfect, as an exporter, you can be relaxed, because as per the LC, importers bank is obliged to pay if the documents are payment, so that you don't worry about buyer making the payment. So for that, your documents must be perfect. For your documents to be perfect, you can get your bank support as an exporter. Always, when you deliver documents under export, ask your bank to check the documents and make sure documents are perfect. And entry port trade also, there are some methods where if you are working on as a middleman, there are different methods that I am coming to discuss in detail later, how you can manage entry port trade to facilitate your export business. Now, there are some issues that are faced by exporters, especially with regard to this managing collateral. As I mentioned earlier, whenever you go to a bank, if you are an exporter or whatever business, you want facilities. That's why you are going to bank. Now, if you are a new customer, definitely banks has to request for a collateral security for you. So in that case, what I have seen is as exporters, you are doing it big volumes, but you don't have much assets to be collateralized with the banks. Now, but just want to share with you, there are some facilities available with banks which you can obtain without any security, any collaterals. So these are some of those facilities. If you are if you are doing under LCs, as I explained to you, okay. Now these all these, if the documents are compliant, I told you, if the documents are compliant, perfect, importers bank must pay you. That is the guarantee from the importers bank. Now, if your documents are perfect, and you can discount the documents from the bank. And that case, if the documents are perfect, banks will not ask you a collateral or a limit to be established with them to purchase or discount documents. If the documents are 100% compliant, perfect, you can get the document discounted from the banks without any security. That's how it operates. And if you are dealing with DA bills, let's say you are exporting with DA bills, right? Now here also, now if you can make arrangement with your importer to avalize in the sense, when you export documents under DA, right? So that you don't have LC cost actually. You are very low cost method in terms of documentation also. And also when you deliver the documents to your importer through his bank, you can ask, what happens in avalization is that importers bank will send a confirmation to exporters bank that even though the importer does not pay, they will pay your bank, exporters bank. So that confirmation is a very valid confirmation, just more than, in fact, it is more than a confirmation given under a LC. LC, I said, it's a conditional guarantee for payment, but here avalization is that importers bank is guaranteeing the exporters bank that DA bill they will pay even if the importer does not pay. Actually, for this, importers bank has to have some facilities, but still, if you can arrange this facility for your DA export bills, once this confirmation came from the importers bank, your bank, exporters bank, will discount that bill without any security. So here also, if you can bring that avalization confirmation, you can easily discount your bills without any security being offered to your bank. And there are transfer bases. Now here, one case there you can use for entry-port trade also. Now, let's say you are a middleman. You are importing from Maldives and supplying to Dubai, right? Now, for you to import from Maldives, you need to issue a LC to Maldives. For you to issue a LC, you need facilities to be arranged with bank. To arrange facilities, you need to offer securities. But with this transferable LC, now you will be getting a LC, export LC from Dubai. If you can arrange with your supplier, this is not a big thing. They can easily do this. If you can make it a transferable LC, if you can make it as a transferable LC, then the second LC, the LC that you have to issue to the Maldives party, you can issue without a security, without a limit at your bank. So that is a good facility that you are able to issue LCs, but without a security. And also assignment of proceeds. Here also, what happens in the same example, you will be getting a order from export LC from Dubai, but you can the exporters bank can give a written confirmation to a supplier, a Maldives supplier, or if it is a local supplier, this will be better used, better suited. Exporters bank can give a confirmation to the your local supplier that once the proceeds are received to this LC, this amount will be credited to that supplier's account, and so that is confirmation from the exporters bank. And also you can use standby LCs where without sometimes, as I explained earlier, if you are an exporter, you will be doing transactions frequently. So it will be very cost, documentation is complex, cost is complex, cost is very high. But if you can have a standby LC for, let's say, 1 year, or you are opening a standby LC, then you can freely transact under that LC without requiring your importer to issue LCs for every shipment. And also, I request to advise you to have savings built up with you always with the proceeds that you have. One day you will be able to pledge this savings build up as a security for your other facilities in exports. And also, I also advise you, whenever savings built up, usually make it convert into a term deposit where you'll get more interest. Still, same time you'll have a good margin and as a security with your bank. And also you can have SLESIC cover. Banks do accept SLESIC cover as a security for your pre-shipment as post-shipment facilities. You can get this SLESIC cover. So you can offer that. If you don't have any other securities, you can offer this SLESIC cover as a security for your financial requirements. And banks, one of the other support that banks gives to you is that they advise LCs and amendments. Export LCs which are coming from other banks, they advise to you. That is one support, one service that is given by your banks, Exporters Bank. And also there are some confirmations. Now, let's say you are getting a LC from Libya. Libya is considered as a, in general, it's at the moment, it's kind of considered as a high-risk country. Now, they are, if the LC is coming from Libyan bank, as I said, there are some high-risk banks also, high-risk countries. In that case, but still you need to do these transactions. What you can do is that you can get your confirmation, the LC confirmed from your bank, where now in LC what happens is that importers bank guarantee payment. Now with the confirmation, your bank, your exporters, as exporter, your bank also will guarantee that if you produce correct document, perfect documents, your bank will pay even if the importer's bank does not pay. So it's a very good confirmation. A confirmation is a very good option for you if you are dealing with high-risk countries, because if you take tea for example, you have to do some transaction with countries like Libya, though they are high risk, but still you can secure yourself with a confirmation from your bank. Now, there are some, all what I explained so far was the non-financial services that Exporters Bank offers to the exporters. Now, there are some financial facilities that are offered by Exporters Banks to the exporters. Now, as an exporter, you need finance in two occasions. That is, first is before the shipment and after the shipment. Before the shipment, you need funds for packing credit. Before the shipment, you need facilities to purchase materials and process those materials, manufacture the goods, and also after that you need funds for packing goods, arranging the goods for export orders. So all these are coming before your shipments, all these requirements. So banks have packing credit facilities, pre-shipment financing to manage for you to meet those requirements. Basically, banks does not finance you 100% because there should be a profit margin. So maybe depending on your material cost, the production cost, they will finance up to that amount as your packing credit. And also they will arrange that maybe as a permanent overdraft, also as a short-term loan. So both case. Now, if you are using, if you are taking a packing credit loan to import a machine, okay, let's say import a machine, so that you will be using short-term loan because it can be released in different stages. If you take a permanent overdraft from the day you utilize for the amount that you utilize, you will be charged, so that they will arrange it in a two different ways, maybe a permanent overdraft, maybe a short-term loan, that depending on your requirement. There are some post-shipment facilities. As I explained to you, you need post-shipment facilities as well after the shipment. Now, for example, if you are an exporter, once you export the goods, you bring the documents to your bank. and you bring the documents to your bank and you request bank to finance those documents. Why? Especially this happens, let's say you are doing on the DA or term LC basis, where you will be getting the funds maybe after some credit period, 30 days or 60 days. So likewise, since you are getting the payment late after some credit period, you have some financial commitments here to be settled, so that you need funds in advance before your importer pay you. You need funds. In that case, banks, what we call is a bank discount those bills. Okay, bank discount those bills and provide you funds. Here what happens is that you need to produce the documents to your bank. So if it is either LC or under LC or DPDA, banks will finance you documents. But you might remember when I mentioned, if it is a LC bill, if you can produce perfect documents, then without any facility, without any limits being established, bank will discount those bills. Now, when we discount those bills, there are a few different terms used by banks. Now, if you are as an exporter, if you are bringing some documents under LC, and when the bank discount those bills for you to finance in advance, that process we call bill negotiation. Okay. And if you are bringing the documents under DPA or DA to the bank, and if the bank is going to discount those bills, that process we call bill purchase. Okay. So it's only a bill negotiation and bill purchase. From the bank side, it's the same procedure, but just to differentiate the two businesses, we have two different names. And also now, when you do under open account, I explained to you, in open account, you ship the goods and you have to wait for your importer to pay. But there are financial commitments here for you. Even though the documents are not handled through banks under open account, now banks still can finance you for those documents. What you need to do is that once you do the shipment, you need to bring the copy documents, copy BL, copy invoice to a bank, and based on that, and also in this case, actually, bank is taking a huge risk, but so that you need to have a facility established with the bank, they will discount those documents that we called open account or copy doc purchase. And also avalized bills, I explained you avalization. Importers bank, for DA bills, importers bank giving a guarantee for the exporters bank that importer bank will pay for the DA. Now look at from the exporter side, if you have this confirmation from your exporter bank, you can discount those bills also. And this is also without any facility limit being established with your bank. You can freely discount those bills if you can obtain that avalization confirmation from your importer's bank. Now, finally, the only method that I didn't discuss under the post shipment is advance payment. Naturally, if you are exporter, if you have received advance payment for export, you don't need to have financing. If you have received maybe a part, maybe 20%, 30% of advance payment, yeah, sure. For the rest of the production, for the rest of the amount, you might need even 20% is advance pay. Still, you might have a financial need. If it is 100% advance payment, then maybe 90% advance payment, there won't be a case for financing. So not either under packing credit as well as post shipment. So this is there are then I want to inform you now, when you are dealing with these banks, okay, when you are dealing with the banks, there are actually charges. Banks, there are services that are banks giving freely, but there are still some services, some financing facilities, there are charges. Now, on the left hand side, I have highlighted the LC specific charges, and also there are some common charges. What I want to mention here is that not to just to explain these charges, what are there. Just want to tell you, when you are doing a transaction, when you are doing a trade business, not only the information that from your counterparty importer, you have to find out this information from your bank as well, because it's at the end of the day, it will be your profit margin that is affected. So whenever you do an international trade transaction, just inquire from your bank what are the charges involved in those businesses. What is the best method for you, right? And also you can negotiate with banks with your volumes. You can always negotiate with the bank charges, so that be mindful of your charges as well, which will affect your bottom line at the end of the day. So that is my presentation. Actually, I took about 10 minutes more, but I hope that you were okay to carry on with me, so that it's time for you to have any questions or answers. Sorry, any questions?
Thank you. It's a very informative and very interesting presentation, Mr. Susanta. We have few questions. It is reported that recently a shipment was cleared by a buyer by the documents sent through the bank without the bank first receiving the payment. Can that of a thing happen?
Yeah, can you repeat that question? Documents.
The shipment was cleared by a buyer by the documents sent to the bank without the bank first receiving the payment.
First receiving the payment.
By the buyer.
Now, if it is naturally, if it is, just want to clear, if it is DA, definitely buyer will clear the documents without banks receiving the payment.
Yeah.
I assume the bank, when you say bank here, the exporters bank, so importers bank. Now, importers bank might not receive the payment under DA, even under term LC, because it's what they do is that they get a bill of exchange signed by the importer and release the documents, so that importer will pay at a later date. So by the time of before the payment, definitely importer will release the goods. But if it is under DP or site LC, then there is an issue. That cannot happen.
But this type of thing can happen, but the payment will be made by the buyer on a later date, no?
Exactly. There is assurance for that, depending on how you do term LC or DA.
Yeah,
but it is it is not, the question is not 100% clear. If it is DA bill or a site LC, if the goods are released without payment, then there is a serious issue.
Okay, he has not specified whether it is the payment term. He has not mentioned. We should take it as DA. Otherwise, they can't take the goods from the bank, documents from the bank to clear the goods.
Yes.
And what is the best payment method for exporter?
Yeah, if you right at the beginning, I mentioned that the advance payment method naturally will be the best method for exporters, but it will be very hard to win an advance payment method contract from a foreign buyer because we are small exporters. So if you can win an advance payment method contract, that will be the best, because you are getting the payment before your shipment. But if it is not, as per the technicality, I would say export LCs will be the best method. Even there, the site LC will be the best method, because term LCs, there could be issues, because during the time, the credit period, if a buyer makes a legal case, there is chance that he can hold the payment, not to stop the payment, hold the payment, not to reject the payment, hold the payment. So technically, export site LC will the best method, but open advance payment is much more better than that. But it's very difficult to find advance payment methods.
And also, what are the risks associated with the DP method, document against payment?
Yeah, it's a very good point that you made here, because now we think we think that if it is under DP, payment will be guaranteed. But there are cases in practically. What happens is, if you export under DP, you will be sending the documents to the importers bank, and what happens is, you will get the payment only if the importer comes to the bank and collect the documents. Now, what happens is that, let's say now, at the time you agree for the contract, the price was very high, price was very low, right? Then at the time the goods are received at the importer's port, let's say the price in the importer's country goes down, right? So that importer know if he release the goods, the price at which he can sell the goods will be very low, so that he has to incur a loss. So in those kind of things will create the situation in the importer's mind to reject the documents. And also there are cases they will without so in the first case they will reject the documents, so though you can't get the payment, you will have to recall the goods, which is very costly. If it is a perishable good, there is no point in recalling the goods as well. And also there are cases where even on a DP, once its documents are there, importers are claiming for discounts. I have seen this because goods are here, documents are here, exporters are helpless, so that they are they claim for discounts, which is also very unfortunate. So DP, though it's documents against payment, it's not always secure. You have to be mindful of that.
And also, can you please explain what is standby LC and transferable LC? Whether they are two different LCs?
Yes. Standby, I would say it's like this. Now, let's say standby is a normal LC. What happens is that when you open a standard LC, it's usually what it says that basically what the standby will say is that importers banks says if there is any claim from the exporter during this period, I will make the payment. Now, normal LC, the condition was that what? In the normal LC, importers bank guarantee if the documents are perfectly produced to me, I am making the payment. But here, there is no such thing, right? What the importers bank is saying, within the expiry period of this LC, if a exporter makes a claim, I am paying. Definitely for that, exporters bank will have to send a kind of SWIFT message and an invoice copy for the maybe with the BL copy to the importers bank, but it's not conditional to the documents. It's so that it has an open guarantee for the exporter. So what he and also if you have a standby under normal LC, you have to produce the documents under the LC. Okay, but if you have a standby LC, you can do your transaction maybe under open account, advance payment, DP, DA, whatever methods, you can do the transactions. But at the end of the day, the moment buyer defaults you, you can make a claim under advance payment. So advance payment is an open guarantee where you can do transactions with the importer in any payment methods. But still, if there is a default from buyer, you can claim. But normal LC, you have to perform under the LC. You have to produce perfect documents to get the payment, and it is also it is not so that it's not a open guarantee, it's a very conditional guarantee. And transferable LC is, as I explained, it gives you a real good facility for you. If you are a middleman, if you are a middle businessman, then that is a very good option for you. As my example, if you are buying it from Maldives and supplying it to Dubai, so Dubai party will send you a import LC for you. It's an export LC. Once you receive this export LC, now to buy the goods from Maldives, you need to issue a LC. No, if the Maldives party is expecting a LC, you have to issue a LC. But here, if it is that Dubai LC that you received from Dubai, you can transfer it to Maldives. The facility here is that if it is if the Dubai LC is a transferable LC, if a transferable LC, the LC itself with a one sentence, it will say this is a transferable LC. In that case, now normally for you to issue an import LC to the Maldives, you need to have facilities with the bank, LC facilities or margin you have to keep. But if the Dubai LC is an export LC, transferable LC, you can easily transfer maybe whatever percentage that you need to transfer it to a Maldives party without any security. without margin being deposited in the your bank, you as the middleman, you can transfer that LC. So your benefit is that you don't have to have facilities to issue this second LC. Normally, for you to issue LC, you need to have a facility with the bank. But here, without a facility, still you can issue a LC to your, in my case, the Maldives party. If your export LC is a transferable LC.
This is again regarding the first question, Mr. Susanta. They had done the shipment against documents against payments. But they said the bank, yeah, they have cleared the documents and they had taken the goods also. So they have still not received the payment. The local bank legal counsel said they are not responsible for the damages they are saying.
Yeah, now the bank the importer's bank, if they have released the documents, okay, without getting the payment, then the responsibility is definitely with the importer's bank. But I'm very unsure how they have cleared without the original documents. You can't clear these shipments. So just need to verify how this local bank, whether documents are still with the importer's bank. In that case, you can get it clarified from the confirm with your banks from exporter's bank. I advise you to send a message from your exporter's bank to the importer's bank to confirm whether documents are still with them, original documents. Since goods are already released, you can straight away send tell them if the documents return the original documents, because they must be having the documents if they claim that they are not responsible. So that you can directly ask the importer's bank to return the documents. So that in that case, I believe things will be cleared with that step, because without documents being cleared, I am very doubt how they have cleared the goods.
So if they have any,
ask the documents to be returned, because anyway your document goods are released now, so there is no point in keeping the documents there. Directly ask the documents to be returned.
Yeah. Can they email you, or can they come and meet you to get more information about this? More advice from you?
Yeah, Sepalika, if you identify this participant, please share my mobile number with them. Okay. The participant, please, the particular participant, please get the mobile number, my mobile number from Sepalika. Yeah. I will try to help you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we have one last quick question. How can we mitigate this risk associated with the DA method?
Yeah, I briefly explain. Now, DA bills, once you export under DA bills, issue is that though there is a bill of exchange signed by the importer, you can't go to legal actions with that bill of exchange, because you can go, but thing is that as we are small exporters, we are exporting a small volume shipments. So if you go for legal cases, your legal cost will be more than the shipment value. So that's why we don't see much legal cases in case of default against DA. But the best method you can apply is that, as I explained, the avalization. Now, if you avalization is a very much available facility with bank, what you need to do is that you can ask your importer, okay, you send me once you and also you are instructing through your banks to the importer's bank, release these documents under avalization only, where the importer's bank will give a confirmation to you and release the documents to the importer. But as I said, for that avalizations to happen, importer has to have some facilities arranged with the importer's bank, but that will be a cost to the importer. But as the exporter, if you are sure that you are getting the avalization, which means you are sure about your payment, in that case, you will be offering such a buyer a reduced price compared to some other buyer who is not giving the avalizations to you. So that importer will have that benefit from your pricing, if he's offering evaluation to you, so that that price cost saving there, he can use to arrange the facility with the importer's bank. So that always there is a possibility for you importer to go for have a facility with evaluation with his bank, which will be beneficial to exporter, and also exporter can definitely issue some discounted price for the importer if he's giving a evaluation facility.
Thank you very much, Mr. Susantha, on behalf of the participants and the Sri Lanka Export Development Board. I would like to give a very big thank you for you for making a very informative presentation. And I think this is so far, this is the longest presentation we had done so far. It itself shows the important areas we had discussed today, because most of the SMEs we are working with, they are lack of this knowledge. Therefore, this is very important to give this knowledge on these areas to them. So before we wind up, do you have anything to say, Mr. Susantha?
Yeah, actually, it was about 1 hour to 1 hour, 1.25 hour session. But usually the areas that I covered, I know there could be some areas which are not familiar to you, which you need more details to understand properly. That is natural, because it's only a 1 hour session here. So that if you need any details, you can reach me. Ms. Sepalika, you are free to share my email address with them, so that whatever clarifications that you need, please ask, because as I mentioned in advance, exporters does not have much awareness how the banks can support them. So that try to get your best support from your bank, whoever your bank, and get your business also developed with that. So all the best to all the exporters for their great work doing to this country. And if you need, as I said, any clarification, please mail me.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Susantha. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, before we wind up, just to announce you, we will meet you next week on 29th with another interesting topic for the export sector. Thank you very much.
Okay, see you. Thank you.